I wanted to comment on the video that Corey was talking about before on how do you make your video successful. There are things that work for the general person putting it out. Obviously, hot topics work, but if you're producing something that's original, you can't just write on whatever's hot at the moment. But for things, usually, the internet is different than TV. Funny works, odd works, weird works, quirky works, crazy, stupid works. That's just the reality of what it is. People like to be entertained and not just, oh, that was lovely. It was, that was really funny, or that was really this, because they want to tell other people about it. You essentially want it to be viral in a sense, because they want a reason to, why should I share this with you? Oh, because I thought it was like this, and I think other people need to know that it's like this. Right. It's funny for this. And as a way of getting it out there, because you started zero, yes, as Corey talked about, you could go through us, but it's new. It's new to people who built up these audiences, and we see it, companies and advertisers trying to figure out how to breach that, and they do. We've done work. I know I myself have done work for TV shows and just advertising and promoting certain products or objects, and other YouTubers we know have done it as well. And we're still trying to figure out how it works, us as the I guess distribution platform, because the viewers that watch us, whenever they see an advertisement that's put into our video, they kind of know. They sense it with links and banners and all these stuff. They're like, wait a minute. And it's a very fine line, and we're learning how to keep our audiences not, what do I say?
Keep them loyal.
Keep them loyal, but not be turned off with the fact that we're doing this. We know ways to create an advertisement that's not going to seem like an advertisement to them.
You don't want to alienate anybody.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
That's pretty.
If Nadine makes a video and she's like, "Hey, everybody, you should all drink Pepsi."
Right.
Well, everybody's gonna, why did I watch this? Sell out.
Sell out, exactly.
Because
that's the word you hear
YouTube is anonymous. And if you have a website where nobody has any repercussions for what they say, they're 100% honest. And if they see something they don't like, TV, they're home alone, they can show it at their television, nobody's gonna hear them. But if they type sell out on a comment, the next person who comes and watches the video, it's there.
Yeah.
And they see it. So we work with sponsors and advertisers, but we find ways of doing it so that it's hidden. Yeah. And one thing a bunch of YouTubers did is that Sanyo was releasing a new type of video camera, which is relevant to YouTube. So they provided this video camera to a bunch of different YouTubers, and they said, shoot a video that you would normally shoot, but use this camera to do it. And then just say in the description, this video was shot with this camera. It's very subtle, because you need a camera anyways, right? And they find ways of making it work, and it's like, well, then how are you going to promote it? You know, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And you streamline any type of blatant advertising into the system that we already have set up.
And that is getting into another model. I mean, we were talking about money, and everybody's question always to me is, well, how do you make money on it? And obviously there's success stories like the ones you've heard, but a lot of people approach me in Canada and they say, well, I want to make this web show, and how's it going to make any money? Yeah. And now that kind of monetization is what we call branded entertainment, and I'm sure that a lot of you in this room have heard that buzzword this year. Branded entertainment is something that ad agencies are now starting to work with, and it's the internet's product placement. Is what it is. It's the internet's way of integrating a great campaign, you know what I mean? Like, there's big brands out there like Gillette that are doing huge online, advertising, branded entertainment advertising campaigns. And one of the biggest success stories in Canada was Waking Up Hannah, which was an Ogilvy production out of Toronto. So that was a huge branded web show, and that's what you're going to start seeing now. Is that's where the money's going to come, because people like Corey and Nadine, they don't want post or pre-roll ads, that are just like, Coca-Cola and Pepsi, and that's kind of what they built their brand on. And their audiences, they will begin to alienate their audiences, and then they'll start to tune out, because it's like every week Nadine's hawking a new, now she's wearing, FUBU, or she's wearing, drinking Coca-Cola, and they're like, that's not Nadine, right? So it's a fine line, and now we're getting into branded entertainment, which is a really great way of making money off your internet videos.
Jessie, I just want to ask, as somebody who sort of is working a bit in both of these worlds, I mean, it seems to me that we're still facing this dilemma where television is worried about the content getting out there, and yet the web thrives on the content being out there. Is there a tension there? I mean, I look at shows like Glee, for instance, that are putting a lot of their content onto their YouTube channel, right? And they're imagining, I was just reading in Advertising Age, that they're imagining that their revenue stream is not just from the ads that they put on the television show, but it's from the albums that they sell. And it's from, the actors in the show doing live tours and stuff like that. Do you feel that, not asking you to rat out CBC TV here, but do you feel like there's a tension in trying to work in those two ways?
I provide content and story.
Yeah.
So, I have to believe in it, in the television side of it, and I think Glee is a special case a little bit because it's sort of I think the music videos are taking over the story of that show. So the show is suffering, in my opinion, because it's all about these music videos that they can then go and sell and generate revenue, but then you're suffering from a creative standpoint, I think. From what I've seen, the show started out very story-based and is now just a music video after music video, and they've dropped a lot of the premise of the show. Some basic things like these two characters are really shy in front of each other, but not anymore because we need a music video, and now they're doing this thing. You know what I mean? They're singing together and they're all over each other. So I think it's sort of a different thing a little bit. I don't see that so much on Being Erica. I haven't seen, I've really just seen the web being used as a marketing tool, as the advertisement, the billboard advertisements drive people to the Being Erica website to see the webisodes. The webisodes drive people to the show, and it works pretty nicely together.
So as a creative person, do you have trepidation about the future of TV in terms of your ability to just tell story without having to worry about all of these other platforms?
I think that ultimately people don't really care how they're getting the content and how it's being fed into their homes, but they're going to always want to see traditional 30-minute sitcoms. They're going to want to see hour-long dramas, and they're going to want to see short videos, but it's something completely different, and it's going to work in tandem. And I think a lot of these short videos, it's very different. I mean, personally, if I'm watching a YouTube video, I'm probably emailing people at the same time. I'm sort of doing both things. Your computer right now is not only for entertainment, it's for productive reasons. You work on it. Whereas when you're watching TV, you're committed to that as a show. So it's so different, and I think they're going to work together. And I don't think the TV world needs to be terrified of the video world. I don't think that one is going to drive out the other, but I do think they need to come together and work on a multi-platform level.
So how do they do that?
Well, if I could comment on what she said, I'm actually going to disagree with you. Because as we saw in the previous slideshow, I didn't memorize the number, but it was something higher than 90% of people talk about being on their computer while watching TV. And one thing that ComScore didn't mention, and maybe by next year they'll have these statistics, it's going to be TV and computer and phones. Because while I'm watching Glee, all Twitter, this show sucks. And then I'll go on my computer, and then I'll look something up. And then I'm watching the show, and I'm on my phone, and then people start replying. And it's the ADHD world, because we can actually consume so much content at the same time.
So do you think nobody,